Welcome back. I'm Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet, and there's a lot of stuff to catch up on. Big day. We're going to explain everything. We're all right. But first, I want to address a critique I got of the channel from a well-respected, very successful friend of mine. He watched a few of the videos, and he had some comments. He goes, first, I like everything you cover. You hit it from a lot of different angles. That's great. But I would like you to go into further detail about certain things like the CPI, and then explain how that affects the charts more. I went, okay, how long do you want these videos to be? And then he goes, you can't do the sexist comments anymore. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm still going to do the sexist comments, but I'm going to do it on both sides. So before I'd say something like, tell your wife she can't have that new purse, we'll wait for 6 months. Right? Which is sexist, although usually pretty accurate. We're also going to hit him from the other side, because maybe there's a woman watching. So instead of the purse comment, you go, tell your husband to get back in the garage and let mommy handle the finances. See, now we're even, so I'll just be rude to everybody and we can all enjoy it, like Family Guy. Then he commented that the background should be neutral. Right now, the background is distracting. How much more neutral do you want? That looks like a well-appointed prison cell. It looks like I've been on good behavior for 20 years, so they decided to give me a couch that they found behind an AutoZone. Definitely no chance of parole in this nice prison cell of mine. Now, let's get into the numbers. Again, thank you for that critique. I always enjoy it. So, we're going to open with President Joe Biden. Very sunny. Things are great. He goes, exactly 4 weeks ago, I signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law. We're addressing inflation, guys. So today we're celebrating. Tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern as I deliver remarks and welcome the leaders and advocates who made it happen to the people's house. Okay, so we're celebrating, we're reducing inflation. Meanwhile, in reality, oh no, everything's red. Everything's really red. The Dow tumbles, worst day ever. So why? Inflation is not being reduced. So, the CPI data came out this morning, and it was hotter than expected, 8.3. The market expected 8.1. I knew it was going to be hotter than that, which I'll get into in a second, and you'll be able to tell ahead of time as well, okay? But first, here's what happened. Remember last CPI report, Joe Biden said it was 0% month over month? Not really. So the energy costs have went down so much that it evened out the increase in price of everything else, right? But then in August, energy continued to go down, but not enough to offset the increased cost of everything else. So everything's inflating. So energy's coming down by force, which we'll get into. And that was a way for Joe Biden to fix inflation or combat inflation. If you make gas cheaper, then no one will notice that everything else is more expensive. Well, now that's not enough. The Band-Aid fix is not enough. We're still hot no matter what's going on. But you don't have to be taken by surprise. Yeah, the market tanked immediately. As soon as the CPI data came out, everybody repanicked, and no matter what you're in, you took some damage today. Okay? But how do you predict this ahead of time? How do you avoid being taken by surprise like that? Well, look at what the CPI aggregates. Look at the cost of these things. Now, all of these things, you don't have to wait for the government to tell you what the numbers are a month late. This is a lagging indicator. The CPI report tells you what happened a month ago. We can look up this stuff before that. So let's say new vehicles, new car prices. That went up 0.8%, right? You don't have to wait for the CPI report. You can just Google that. What are the prices of new cars August 2022 chart? Google something like that. Oh, look at that. When did this article come out? August 17th. This guy goes, this is a Goonie ad right here, but here's the chart for new vehicles. weeks ahead of time. They're going, it's way high, man. This is not cooling off at all. Okay, so that part of the CPI report we know is going to be running hot. Now, what about apparel? Apparel. People buying stuff. Is that heating up? Before we'd have to wait for this report, we can just Google it. Online prices rise in August as American consumers prepare for holiday shopping season. So now we know that apparel, things that people just buy, clothing and whatnot, that's running hot. Now this came out a day before the CPI report. So all the way up to the day before, you know what's coming. Okay? And because I was doing research like this, I knew what was in the CPI report. So I looked up all these things. And I went, okay, well, yeah, gas is still down, but everything else on average is up. And I don't feel good about that. So yeah, like CNBC and everybody's going, hey, it's fine, inflation's cooling off, it's going to be 8.1. I went, I don't know. I did my own little research, which took some time, but it spared me a lot of pain. So I was ready to buy the dip. I sold some things ahead of time because we had a nice little bull run, like a little rally, because everybody was going head first thinking that inflation was fine. I cashed out a little bit and then rebought today when everything tanked. So I made money on the CPI data while everybody else was suffering. So how did Joe Biden do this? How did he lower energy prices, and why is it just a temporary fix? Well, he's been dumping the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is for our military's last chance survival when things go badly, okay? We have some numbers here. Our Strategic Reserve is the lowest it's been since the 80s. Real low. And next month, October, we're not going to be utilizing the Strategic Reserve like this anymore. In fact, we have to refill it, or we put ourselves in a very dangerous scenario. So that ends next month, and so that artificial force pushing down the cost of energy goes away. And now that's going to be hot again, along with the rest of inflation on everything else that's still going higher. So the ugliness is not over. And Jerome Powell is going to have to raise rates 75 basis points probably, maybe even a full point. We'll see. That happens this month, I think, in like a week or so. So be ready for more pain. But we do have some good things coming. The Ethereum Merge is coming up very soon. Now, this is just an estimate. It's based on hash rate when this thing goes live. But it should happen within the next 24 to 48 hours. And how will that affect the price of Ethereum? Well, it's anybody's guess. Some people are saying it actually makes it a deflationary currency, which is technically true. The issuance goes down considerably when the merge happens. And the energy cost of Ethereum goes down by 99%, which makes it more attractive to the ESG crowd, right? The folks that are worried about consuming power for electronic money. So that's a positive. But other than that, Ethereum won't suddenly be amazing or faster or cheaper, really, other than its energy costs. And it operates totally differently as something as proof of stake. But it's positive overall. Still, I'm more confident in Bitcoin rather than everything else. Although I still have a lot of these top layer ones in Ethereum sitting in staking piles, just earning passive interest. In terms of price action with Gary Gensler and the way everything's going, and these altcoins being treated as like risky tech stocks, I know that their price action is going to be a little sticky for a while, at least till the rest of this presidency, to be honest. This bear market will continue at least that long. So Bitcoin, I think, is still the safe play simply because Gary Gensler has made it official that he's going to leave Bitcoin alone. Bitcoin is a commodity, and thus not under his direct control at the SEC. So although Ethereum has already been named a commodity by the SEC's previous chair, Gary doesn't like that. So he's going after everybody, like every single crypto that isn't Bitcoin, he's going after them and trying to regulate and tax and constrict them as if they're a security. When really we just need new regulations and a set of rules that make it clear for everyone. And now all these cryptocurrencies can follow the established regulations. So if you're just out there existing as a crypto, you're kind of this, but kind of that, but not really, Gary comes out and just sues you before you even really know what rules you're supposed to be following. And that's where we're kind of stuck with Gary. Although he can't, there aren't enough lawyers in the world for Gary to send after all 20,000 cryptos. So instead he's going after American exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken and going, hey, if you have any of these guys on your exchange, you're in big trouble. And Kraken and Coinbase are just like, yeah, all right, Gary, like, tell us what you want, dude. Like, we're just here to follow the rules. We're not trying to break any laws. We just need to know what the rules are, and then we'll follow them. And so he's like, what? So we're in the back and forth with Gary here. We need these regulations to come out for crypto to really find its place as the newest financial sector, and then it can take off. But it will happen, okay? Now, as a nice little treat, I want to show you the new King of England. Now, I don't know if you know much about history, but the King of England used to be the most powerful man in the world. He owned the earth, basically. He would lift up a bejeweled hand and snap his fingers, and a country would be leveled, or he would just own them now. Mega powerful man. And to befuddle or defeat the King of England would take millions of soldiers and horses and trebuchets and catapults and diplomacy, and you'd have to, a war of economies and disease. It was nearly impossible to beat this guy. So now we have a new King of England. Now times are different, but surely the King of England, even now, would be someone of unlimited wisdom and patience and strength, someone worthy of the title. So here he is, signing something.
I just had a bit. Is it September 12th?
13, sir.
Oh God, I'm the wrong date. 13?
Yes, sir.
You signed 12 earlier.
Wait a minute, I signed 10. Oh God, I hate this.
No, look, it's going everywhere. Hang on. So nobody got it.
Where is that?
No, look, it's everywhere.
There, this bloody thing. What they do, every stinking.
He's signing something, and his pen is leaky. And so he panics. He can't handle it. And then I don't know who this is. His wife comes in and she just signs it. Now, as the King of England, if your pen stops working, you just go, I need another pen. And someone hands you a Mont Blanc pen. He's the King of England. He should have his own ready. A James Bond Mont Blanc that works perfectly and is also a flamethrower. Instead, he just, I can't. And then he just like, well, this isn't working, bloody thing. And then he just leaves. Like, that's what befuddled and beat the King of England? Just a pen? And she handles it? What? And look at how many people jump in to save this scenario.
You signed 12 earlier.
What day is it? Oh.
Oh God.
Ah, bloody hell. Oh, I hate this. He just leaves.
So nobody got it.
I can't do it. Secret Service guys are jumping in with a rag, fixing the situation. He's mad. What a joke. So that basically sums up the West, and this is why we're struggling. Also, I want to talk real quick about, let me see if I can find this. There's been some stuff about Ukraine winning the war suddenly. This cracks me up. Ukraine inflicts major operational defeat on Russia as its forces retreat. All right. We get all of our reporting from the Ukrainian officials. We don't actually have any reporters there. So everything we see is what they show us. Okay? So we can't be certain that any of it's true, unfortunately. And so Ukraine has lost a lot of land to the Russians. I mean, we're talking what was it, 120,000 square kilometers or something, maybe more. And then we took back roughly 1.6% of it. But one of these articles had a map of how it's working out. And it looked like the Battle of the Bulge to me. Now, if you're not familiar with that, what happens is like, so you have a giant area of red Russian control, okay? And then you have the Ukrainian forces coming in hot on one spot. And so instead of trying to fight them face to face on the edge of the land you control, the Russians retreat. They pull back. And then the Ukrainians, who are undertrained, get excited. And they start chasing the Russians deeper into their Russian territory without setting up support lines or supply lines behind them. So the Ukrainians rush in going, look, they're running away from us. And then they get surrounded from behind and consumed. And then it's all red again. You know where else you see that? Video games like Age of Empires. That's like a level 1 strategy to beat a younger opponent. Like an 8-year-old kid will chase your cavalry right into a big trap. And that's what I think this is. So they're making it seem like they're winning by getting 1.6% of the land they lost back. Oh, look, guys, we're winning. They're turning tail. Russia's giving up. Send us more money. This is a waste of time. But other than that, you know, what are we going to do? The DXY is raging hard on right now. The euro, they're starting to raise rates a little bit too to try to keep the euro afloat. But euro versus the euro is losing hard. And here's the power of the DXY, the dollar's buying power internationally. So, yeah, our inflation is bad, but everybody else's is too. We're not the best. We're like middle of the pack in terms of inflation numbers. But we're the world's favorite currency. We're the world's reserve currency. So even if our inflation is kind of middle of the pack bad, we're the hedge. We're the safe spot. So everybody puts their money in us. Where else are you going to put it? Like the euro, the British pound, the Japanese yen, the Chinese yuan? Ugh, maybe. But right now the dollar is still king despite all these problems. And that's what happens. Like if the DXY keeps going up, then, equities, tech stocks, everything goes down. So like where's a good place to invest your money? Crude oil. Here we go. So where would you put your money? Commodities like crude oil or stocks related to that. So crude oil, it's going to hit a floor at around $85 because of Joe Biden having to purchase oil to refill our petroleum reserves. Remember back here, we got to fill these numbers up. Okay, this is getting real bad, really low. So we got to buy oil on the market, and that's going to make this go back up. All right, now if you don't want to buy commodities, stocks like Oxy, that could be a move you could make. That's been keeping me afloat. Warren Buffett's biggest play is Oxy, as far as I remember. But yeah, tech stuff, anything fun or exciting, is taking a hit. Even our monkeypox vaccine. No one cares about monkeypox anymore. Guys, we need you to be re-scared. Also, we want to look at volume here. Not much volume. This is hesitation big time. Bitcoin was on a nice run up to, it almost hit the 382 at like 23,000. Wicked all the way up there. And the CPI came out and knocked us back down. But it is impressive that we're still not below the previous bottom. So like, could be the case that that pi cycle bottom is true. It's still true right now. So until we go below 17.7, that pi cycle bottom theory plays out. And this would be another opportunity to accumulate a little more. So that's what I did because I knew the CPI would run hotter than everyone said. I knew that based on individually reading all of these things before the report comes out. Now, you can't be perfectly accurate, but you get a feel. And I took a chance, a well-informed chance, and sold at when Bitcoin was at like 22.8 or whatever it was yesterday, and then rebought lower at 20, which is not much, but it's a move, and you could do something similar with your stocks or whatever you're doing. not financial advice. So to conclude, when these CPI reports come out, like a day or two before, go look, I'm going to Google the pricing and the charts and the patterns of all of these things before the report aggregates it all and then the market reacts to it as one big wave of panic. You already know what's coming. And that's the advantage I'm hoping to teach you guys. Anyway, you have a great night, and hopefully I get more time, in the next coming days to make more videos. Have fun out there.